Hello and welcome to the Naturopathic Vlog. My name is Jason Lee and we're going to talk about eating today and digestion. One of the biggest complaints that I guess comes into the clinic is digestive issues, and they can be mild, ranging from gas and bloating issues to stomach pain or discomfort to heartburn or indigestion, and it can go all the way to crippling digestive pain. A lot of the time patients will go see their doctor and the doctor will probably prescribe an acid inhibitor or some kind of medication to deal with it or something to deal with pain if it's not too severe. I mean, more severe conditions being like colitis and whatnot. But a lot of these patients take medications, they might feel a lot better, but they're not actually treating the whole cause as to why it happens. Of course, there are food sensitivities and issues out there that need to be assessed, but there are some steps that people can do on their own that are free that will have a massive effect on their digestive health. We're going to go over those steps today. The body is like a factory, literally. Food comes in and it goes through a whole series of things in the body's systems that breaks down the food. And once the food is broken down properly, it's absorbed into the body. So the problem with the body is it's literally a one-way street. Like, it doesn't go down and digest and then come back up. If it's not digested properly and go back down again, it only goes in one direction. So basically, to make it simple, the system's divided into two major parts. You're just cutting the body right in half, right here. You got the upper part, which is from here sort of up to the mouth, and that's all about breakdown of food and release of digestive enzymes. So the food is broken down and then is converted chemically into a compound called chyme, which is a mixture of half broken down food and digestive enzymes. So it's already sort of on its way of being completely broken down. Once that happens, it passes beyond this point into the intestinal system, and this is the part where the body actually absorbs the food. So we have the breakdown up here, and we have the absorption down here. Here's the rule: you can't absorb in the breakdown area, and you can't break down in the absorption area. So the food's not broken down in this area and it goes into this part, the body doesn't know what to do, and that often leads to gas and bloating from food that's fermenting improperly in the gut, or pain or discomfort, or even if it's up here, you get heartburn, indigestion. These are very, very common symptoms that people have that debilitate them. So basically, the 5 steps we're going to go over today are ways to help maximize this process, to allow it to happen properly. Because people do things that are wrong and they don't realize it, and it causes problems for the body. It's like literally driving the car in the wrong environment and expecting it to work properly. It won't work. You have to put it in the right environment. Same with eating. It's not just what you eat, but how you digest and the way you eat that's really important. So let's start. Rule number 1. Do not drink and eat at the same time. I know a lot of people, this is a big one. People are like, oh, I have to drink when I eat. I mean, how else am I going to swallow the food? That's a big deal, right? So when you think of digestion, think of it like washing dishes. When you wash dishes, you need 3 major things to wash dishes properly. Number 1 is you need hot water. Number 2, you need dish soap. Right? Number 3, you might need a scrubby or something like that to actually scrub the stuff off the plate. So that's basically, you have those 3 things, you can wash dishes really well. The digestion is the same way. When you want to break down food, you need a couple things. You need heat to break it down, you need digestive enzymes to further break down the food chemically, and you need churning motion from the stomach. When you drink and eat, we dilute the enzymes that help the body break down the food. It also goes against how we digest. That's why, if you notice, if you have a dog or a cat, the dog will have a food bowl and a water bowl, but you'll never see the animal take a bite of food and then drink the water, and then bite the food and then drink the water. It does one or the other, right? And we should do that as well. When you drink water, again, as it comes in, it's basically cooling down your digestive system. So it's like you're washing the dishes, you got the hot water, you got the dish soap, and you're washing, everything's great, and someone comes in with a bucket of water and just dumps it on top. Now you dilute all that dish soap, the water's now lukewarm or cold, and you can't break down the food, you can't digest it properly. Like, imagine trying to wash a greasy lasagna dish with ice cold water. You can't. All the fat smears and it's very difficult to break down. That's why when people eat a meal and they'll drink water with it or some kind of fluid with it, all the blood now has to go back to that digestive system to try and break down that food as best as it can, which also makes us tired. And in the end, the food never gets broken down properly. It goes into our intestine not broken down, leading to other issues. The worst as well is if you have carbonated water, because that's even worse on your stomach enzymes, dilutes it even more. And if the water or beverage you're drinking is ice cold. Some people love ice cold drinks. I mean, that's okay, I guess, if you have it away from meals, but ice cold water is very difficult in the digestive system. Some people even make their protein shakes and put extra ice into the protein shake, and again, that hampers digestive function because the body has to heat up that food to the point where it can actually digest it properly, and then that takes a lot of energy. So for sure, whatever you do not drink and eat at the same time. You can drink about 20 minutes, 30 minutes before, 20-30 minutes after, or even an hour after. I know it sounds like a long time, but the body needs time to digest. It's not like you eat the food, it digests immediately and it goes into your intestine, then you can drink the water right after. So my advice is to have it a little bit before, but definitely a lot after, like maybe up to an hour after you eat. Now things like soups that are warm, I mean, that doesn't count. That's totally fine to take. As long as it's warm, that's all we're looking for. Okay, so step number 2, do not chew gum. Do not chew gum. I know that people hate me for this one, but gum is one of those things that really, really affects and destroys your digestive system. It is odd because people say, well, when you chew gum, it helps to stimulate stomach acid, and that's good, is it not? Because as you're chewing, the body actually thinks you're eating. As you're chewing like this, the stomach's like, oh my gosh, food's coming down the pipe, so it starts shoveling out the acid, getting ready. But the problem is no one really chews gum while they're eating, obviously. It's always away from meals. So you're usually chewing gum way before a meal or a few hours after or whatnot. So as you're chewing that gum, whatever gum it may be, or even if you're sucking on mints or doing whatever, the body actually thinks you're eating. So it's totally getting ready for food. So as it's throwing out the acid, you start wasting your acid because obviously nothing's coming down the pipe. You're not eating anything, so nothing's really coming down there, so you're wasting the acid. And then when you eat later on, you have very little acid left to digest the food. People don't realize we don't have unlimited stomach acid. It does regenerate at night when we sleep, but we don't have unlimited acid, so we can't just keep wasting it all day long and expect to digest our food, especially if you're chewing gum all day long. And our dinner is usually our largest meal. You have the dinner at night, and you have very little enzymes to break down the food. It's going to cause digestive issues. Because remember, up here is all about the breakdown, down here is about the absorption. If you don't break it down up here properly, you cannot absorb it down here, and it causes some of the issues we were talking about. So for sure, no gum. Rule number 3, how we actually chew. Now this is a big, big deal. In engineering, they have a thing called structure versus function. So the structure determines the function that we're supposed to use. For example, you can't drive a sports car off-road and get mad at the car for not performing well because it wasn't designed to go off-road. Same thing with the body. If you look at our skull, our teeth are pretty much flat, right? They're designed to bite and grind and chew a lot. They're quite flat, so we're designed as chewers, right? So when we eat, it's really, really important that we chew our food really, really well. How well? Basically until it's almost liquid before you swallow it. People always say, well, how many chews is that? I mean, it depends. If you have to chew a long time, then the piece you're putting in your mouth is probably too big anyway, so smaller pieces are a lot better, but we're designed to chew. As you're chewing, you're releasing an enzyme called salivary amylase, which starts to break down starch. This is really important because that happens first. Starch break down first before anything else, and for a lot of people, they don't break down the starch properly, which can affect blood sugars and a whole bunch of different things. So chewing is absolutely important. Also, if you look at the jaw of the human, it's actually quite small with respect to its articulation over here, which means this jaw doesn't have a lot of power, which is designed as a grinder. But the problem is, a lot of people, they don't chew like they have this skull. They chew like they have this skull, which is different. This is a carnivorous animal. If you notice, the jaw is much larger. The mandible is huge compared to the size of the skull. And the teeth are basically sharp, designed to pierce and puncture and basically swallow whole. So here's the thing. We have a jaw like this, but we eat as if we have a jaw like that. So no wonder things don't work out properly. But we're eating with an improper technique. We think we're like this, but we're like this, and people inhale their food super fast. So when we eat really, really fast and don't chew our food properly, we're not helping our digestive system. Chewing helps prime the stomach for acid release. Chewing also secretes salivary amylase, like I said, to break down starch. So it's really, really, really important that we give our body a break and help it digest better by chewing our food really, really well, the way we're designed to. Step number 4, please sit down when you eat. I mean, we live in a fast-paced society where people are basically getting food on the go. We're getting food as we're walking to work, we're getting food and we're standing by the island, or a lot of people eat while they're kind of leaning on something and they're eating that way. We need to sit down when we eat. And I know it sounds kind of weird and stupid. It's like, well, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you're chewing anyway, whether you're standing up or sitting down. When you sit down, or when you stand up, you engage your core muscles, so it causes a contraction. As you stand up, everything contracts, so you're actually pushing the digestive system, and that prevents us from digesting properly. When you sit down, you relax everything. The system is relaxed. It's a lot easier to digest. When the system is not relaxed, you can't digest properly. And when you're walking around or you're driving your car, even though you're sitting when you're driving, it's not quite the same. even sitting and watching TV or whatnot is still not the same either. We should sit down basically with nothing in front of us except your friends and family maybe, and eat the food that way. It's a lot better in your digestive system. Takes the pressure off the core, allows your enzymes to produce properly, and allows the digestive system to work its magic the way it's supposed to. It also relaxes our diaphragm, which takes pressure off the stomach. One of the biggest issues that a lot of people has is hiatus hernias or stomach indigestion issues and heartburn. When we stand up, everything contracts and tightens, so when you're eating food, it comes down and has problems getting through. It can get lodged and cause issues. So when you sit down, everything just relaxes and food's moving where it's supposed to. So make sure you sit down when you eat. And the last step, number 5, is the one that people hate the most when I talk about it, and that's of course my favorite things that I really like to get people away from, and that is coffee and alcohol. Coffee is a tough one because as you drink coffee, it actually stimulates stomach acid, but then it's like gum, it wastes stomach acid. So as you're eating food later on, it's preventing you from digesting the food. So patients that drink coffee, it can affect their digestive system. I mean, one coffee once in a while for some people, or once a day, if they can handle it, it's not too bad. But when people get more coffees in them, it can really do a number on your ability to break down food. And people have told me, we get them off coffee reluctantly. A lot of them hate when I suggest that, but they do get off it, and the first thing they say is, my heartburn's gone. I feel a lot better, my digestion's a lot better. So it's one of those things that doesn't cost you anything, can help out a lot. Alcohol is a tough one as well. I mean, if you're sipping wine with dinner once in a while, again, not too bad. Some people can't handle that if they're low acid secretors. Some people can, but it's when you have more alcohol on top of that, alcohol before, alcohol during, alcohol after the meal, that can really do a number on digestion as well, because alcohols have a lot of sugars in them, and sugars ferment, and that causes a lot of gas and bloating for a lot of people. It can also affect your stomach and some of the stomach enzymes as well, giving you heartburn and indigestion. So one of the things I recommend for patients to do is to really reduce the coffee, if not cut it all altogether, and wine once in a while. But having them all the time can really do a number on your digestive system. So there you go. Those are some 5 simple steps you can do that don't cost anything, that will help out a lot with your digestive function. Basically what we're trying to do is help the body work the way it's supposed to. It's like a car. If you put the right things in it, you take care of it, the car will last for a long time and run the way it's supposed to. If you do the wrong things with the car, it will break down and cause problems. And our digestive system's like that. The thing with digestion is that if you have problems with digestion, I mean, some people just say, well, I have gas and bloating, and it doesn't bother me that much. I'm okay with that. The problem is when you're not digesting properly, it means you're not getting all the nutrition from that food. So if you don't get nutrition from the food you eat from 1 or 2 meals, that's not that big of a deal. But if you get low nutritional value from your meals because you're not breaking them down every single day, that adds up to a massive depletion in the body over time. And that's why it's really important to do simple steps every day that can help maximize your digestion, because basically if the body's a company, digestion is how we make money. If the body doesn't make money, the company suffers. So try and maximize your digestion and follow those steps. Until next time, take care.